You made $870,000
Yeah.
at 17 years
17, 18 years old.
What?
Yep. From 2 to 4 cold callers, I went to 8, then I went to 12. Now I was doing 1 to 3 deals a month. And from there, I went up to about 16 callers, and I started hiring acquisition managers. From there, I did 1.2 million the next year. The year after that, I did 1.7 million.
You did 1.7 million at like 19?
At 19.
What were some of the key lessons that you learned that could help people with their first deal?
Yeah. One of the main things that I think holds people back is their
Jacob Blank, how's it going, baby?
Going good, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, excited to have you on. I know you're the 17-year-old millionaire, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Millionaire by age of 18. Yep.
Yeah.
Multi-millionaire now.
Dang, at 22?
Yep, just turned 22 yesterday. Yep.
Okay, so for before we get into your real estate business, because I know you're a big wholesaler,
Yep.
you own real estate, you've done a lot in a short amount of time. Can you give us like your quick backstory on like who you are, where you're from, all that?
Yeah, so born and raised in Arizona, Cave Creek, Arizona. It's like 40 minutes from here. I was pretty much normal kid. Kind of was messing around a lot growing up. I was kind of like the bad kid. But then I got into high school. I went to Pinnacle High School out here. And then sophomore year, I got sick with mono, and I wasn't getting enough rest. So I couldn't make it to school like on time. I needed to sleep more. So I wound up dropping out of traditional high school and doing online school, and that like freed up all my time. Then I found out about a guy named Alex Sines who started wholesaling at the age of 18, and every single day when I was sitting at home with all this free time, I would just get on YouTube and learn how to wholesale real estate at 16 years old, and that changed everything for me. And after about 3 months of researching, I started taking action, and that's kind of the story, how it starts. And for me, it took me 8 whole months to get my first deal. So it wasn't easy for me. You know, you see a lot of people out there get their first deal in 30 days or 40 days, 45 days. And I'm like, dude, that is not good.
Yeah.
If you get your deal that fast, that's going to be kryptonite for you as a businessman.
Yeah.
Because business is hard. Wholesaling real estate is hard. And so if you get that deal too easy, it's not going to be good. So I'm glad it took me 8 months to get my first deal. 6 months into that journey, I got a contract signed out in Gilbert, Arizona, and I walked a buyer through it. You might know him, Zachary Keeps. He owns like 230 houses out here in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I walked him through the property, and he pointed out all these foundation issues that I didn't see and that I didn't realize. And, you know, I tried to use my sales skills back then. I'm like, no, it's the roots of the tree pushing up the sidewalk.
You're like, I know about foundations. I'm 17, dude.
It's not the foundation.
Yeah.
It's the tree.
Yeah.
You know, but he wasn't buying it, obviously. So at that point, the seller actually confessed. We actually do have a bid for foundation repair. It's going to cost $13,000. And I'm like,
okay.
wow, you didn't tell me this. And they're like, well, it's as is, so you still have to buy it. I'm like, unfortunately, the numbers don't make sense anymore, and I don't. So I had to cancel the contract 6 months in to chasing after getting my first deal. And that was devastating, you know, because waking up every single day, that's like 200 and some days of waking up and making the decision to continue focusing on the same thing, right? Rather than changing avenues. I'm sure you see it a lot in the entrepreneurial space. Like, people have shiny object syndrome. If something doesn't work out for 30 days, they switch to another vehicle, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad I had the determination to stay focused. And in business, focus is like number one key component to success.
Yeah.
So even though that happened, you know, I brushed it off and I kept going at it. And 2 months later, I got a deal under contract here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I locked it up for $400,000, and I walked that same buyer through the property, and I sold it for $430,000. And this was right when I turned about 17 years old, and I made $30,000 at 17.
Wow. That was your first deal.
That was my first
deal.
deal.
Who bought it?
Zachary Keeps.
The first one.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Same
So
buyer.
Same buyer. Got it.
Yes, sir. So
you made $30,000 at 17.
Yep.
Did you just go crazy, or what did you do?
No, I didn't go crazy, which most people would. Imagine what you'd do at 17 years old with $30,000. So I'm grateful that, you know, I had the wherewithal to not go crazy, right? I actually reinvested all of it. And we're actually sitting at the All In office doing this podcast. And I actually went and paid Carlos, Alex, and Sal $25,000 out of that $30,000 for mentorship.
No
off
way.
Rip. Yes, sir.
Dude,
Yes.
$17K, and you had the guts to, you had the balls to invest $25K in coaching.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
100%. Because at this point, I knew that I made $30,000 like that, right? Now I had the proof of concept.
Yeah.
Once I had the proof of concept, I'm like, why would I go to college for 4 or 5 years and get out and make 50,000 a year when I just made 30?
Yeah.
Yeah, it may have taken me 8 months, but I knew I was only going to get better at this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, college isn't going to be for me. So I said, I'm going to take this money and invest it in a mentorship program as if it's my college.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I put the 25,000 and put faith in the all-in guys and got in their executive elite program, and that changed the game for me 100%. And the rest of the money I reinvested. So at this point of getting my first deal, and how I got my first deal is I was cold calling myself for about 3 months, and then I saved up some money and hired 2 cold callers. That's where I really started to gain traction, because just cold calling myself, I was, not being able to reach enough people, right?
Yeah.
It's a volume game. At the end of the day, you could be as good as you are on the phones, but you still got to contact a lot of people. And so once I got the 2 callers, I started to gain more traction, started to go on more appointments, meet with more sellers, send more offers, and then got that first deal. So once I cashed that check for 30,000, paid for the mentorship, and I used the last 5,000 to go from 2 to 4 cold callers.
Okay.
And then I kind of just rinsed and repeated. I got like a 15K, a 20K deal after that, shortly after, and then I went to 8 cold callers, and I just kept growing and growing from there.
Yeah. What do you think about what were some of the key lessons that you learned in those first 6 months when you didn't get a deal that could help people listening to this get their first deal?
Yeah, 100%. One of the main things that I think holds people back is they're scared to talk to people on the phone. Like they're so nervous. They're like shaking. They can't even get a word out on the phone. And even I'm sure when you hire people, when we hire people, like people are shaking on the phone. And it's like, dude, it's just a prank call.
Yeah.
That's what I had to snap into. I had to think, I'm just calling Domino's to screw with them. That's what I thought of on every call, except I'm actually going to try to turn this into money. So I thought, it's just a prank call. Don't sweat it. No pressure.
Yeah.
And then another big thing was, when you're on the phone, when you're all nervous like that, just keep in mind, slow down. Slow down. Like understand that if you can talk in a certain way, and if you know the route of the call, the how the call is going to go from start to finish, you have a roadmap, then you know where to take the call. That means you can lead the call. So if you're leading the call, you also can choose the pace.
Yeah.
So if you're all nervous, just take a deep breath, slow down. That was key, 100%, on getting better on the phone and being able to actually implement all the scripts and all the training that I was doing to learn what to say.
Yeah.
If you don't slow down, you're not going to be able to actually say what you've learned. So doing that was important. And then the other thing was just knowing that, look, like if you're going to commit to something and you actually want to become massively successful, it's not going to be easy, right? It's not going to be easy at all. It's going to take a lot of hard work. There's going to be no after no. You're going to get doors slammed in your face. And you have to understand that that's why 90% of people, 99% of people don't make it and 1% of people do.
Yeah.
It's because they stick it out. So if you can accept the reality of the situation, of what you're actually going after, and accept that and look at the mountain and know, okay, I'm committed to getting to the top no matter what, then you're going to be successful. But if you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you're never going to achieve it.
Yeah, I think I want to get into how you scaled your business, because you've made millions of dollars now wholesaling. But the quick story. So my broker told me, I was a realtor.
Yeah.
My broker's like, hey, you got a cold call. I was like, all right, great. So I got my first list. I was like, all right, today I'm going to start cold calling, right? But I was at the office and I was like embarrassed.
Yeah.
So I drove home. I called the first number, right? Just hand dial. They picked up the phone, and then I just hung up. I was like, oh shit, like someone just hung up. And then I just stopped calling. That was my whole first day of cold calling. I'm just
Bro,
like,
and I've seen it. I've seen it. I've hired people and they'll say like 3 words and they'll just hang it up. And then everybody's just looking at them like, why, bro? Like, why? Why? So
so I know how it is to be scared at first. But okay, so you got that first deal, and then you immediately invested $25K.
Yeah.
So you're profitable $5K, which is pretty good still.
Yeah.
And then what happened after that?
Yeah, and another thing too, I had a couple other deals I was working at the time, so that made me a little bit. They weren't lined up ready with a buy or anything, but that made me feel a little bit more comfortable with throwing the money into the mentorship right away.
Yeah.
As well, because I felt like I was gonna have more coming in as well.
Yeah.
And so, how did I scale? So got the mentorship. That didn't start for a few months, so I still had no guidance necessarily. So I just did what made sense, right? I had proof of concept that cold call leads worked. Me on the phone closing them worked. So I thought, why not just do more of that?
Yeah.
You know? So I went from 2 to 4 cold callers. I went to 8, then I went to 12. Now I was doing 1 to 3 deals a month.
Wow.
And then from there, I was up to about 16 callers. And then I got an office, very small office. It was like 600 square feet off of Union Hills and 32nd Street here in Phoenix. And got in that office, waited a couple more months, closed a few more deals. And then I started hiring acquisition managers. I hired 2 guys. One of the guys, he's actually still with me to this day, 5 years later, which is crazy, you know, because there's a lot of turnover in this business. With acquisition managers, you know, they say most salespeople are rented, right?
Yeah.
Good ones at least are. So having some people that have stuck with me the whole time, some core team members is a beautiful thing. But got that office. Now that I had a team, I needed more leads. So probably in that office, I got up to about 20 callers and I had 2 full-time acquisitions. And I was in that office for about a year. We did about $870,000 that year in that office, and I was 17 at the time.
You made $870,000 at 17 years old?
17, 18 years old.
What?
Yes, sir.
Dude, when I was 17, if I had $100 and I could buy like an Arizona and some hot fries, I was like balling.
Yeah, dude. And the thing with me was I didn't even act like I was rich or spend money. I just reinvested everything. I acted like it wasn't even in my account.
What the hell? Are you like a robot? Like, how did you?
I saved it. I save, man. I'm cheap.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad.
That's good.
It's good, though, because that's how you retain your wealth. But I invested a ton of the money back, and I saved a ton of the money, and I focused on the long-term vision. See, most people screw up there. They got a short-term vision. My vision was to become a businessman, build businesses. From the jump, from the very beginning, day one, that's what my goal was. Most people, their day one goal is, I'm going to get rich.
Yeah, yeah.
My goal was, no, I'm going to build business. And that's where people get it mixed up. They have a broken mindset from the very beginning. You can't have that. You need to be coming into this business, into any business with the right intentions.
Yeah.
So yeah, did $870,000 that year. Then I moved to my big office that I'm in now here in Scottsdale, Arizona on the air park. And from there, I did 1.2 million the next year, and then the year after that, I did 1.7 million.
Damn.
Yeah.
You did 1.7 million at like 19?
Yeah, at 19.
Wow.
That was 2021, and then 2022, I did just under $1 million when the market shifted. Yeah, market shifted. I did about $1 million.
Yeah.
And this year we're on track to do about $1 million again.
Okay,
so,
got it.
We're doing good.
But now you're doing all other businesses also.
Other businesses also, yeah. So. My focus isn't 100% there, but real estate is doing deals is always, you know, like that's my core competence.
Yeah.
And so at peak, before the market changed, I think everybody's models shifted, right? When the market shifted, people tried to consolidate and figure out what's going to work and then rescale from there. So at peak, I had 9 acquisition managers in my office.
Shit.
Yeah,
that's
9.
A lot.
Yeah, 9, all on base and commission.
Oh boy.
I had Dispo, and I had a bunch of virtual assistants helping with TC and all the data input type stuff.
Yeah.
So I was spending 60, 70 grand a month, but I was doing about, on a good month, 180, on average 155,000 a month. And so I was walking home with 80, 90 grand profit every single month.
Yeah.
Dude, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And from there, when the market shifted, I pulled back, got rid of everybody that wasn't a killer in my office, trimmed all the fat, kept everybody that was good, got rid of Dispo, jumped back into Dispo myself because that was the issue people were having. Like, nobody's buying these deals.
Oh, really?
And so I'm like, I'm going to grab the steering wheel, right, of my business and figure out how to sell these things through the MLS and whatever. And that's how we've been able to pivot and still do well and still be, you know, doing 7 figures. So
yeah. So I want to talk about what your business looks like in 2024 now, but first I want to talk about you going on appointments and leading people when you were like a child, kind of.
Yeah.
Right. You're not like an adult, I think, officially till you're 21.
Yeah.
So, like, how was that, like, talking to sellers? Were you going on in-person appointments?
Yeah, I was going on in-person appointments. So what that looks like is like how I was talking about before, slowing down, right? It was all these skills, these soft skills that build who you are as you present yourself. So a lot of that was me just reading these scripts and talking in the mirror as if I was talking to a seller. So looking myself in the face and trying to really figure out how I was going to present myself properly.
Wow.
Also, though, a lot of people would take me as a joke, and I tried to use references. Like, I had that really good buyer in my pocket. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I work with him, you know, because
Yeah.
he was going to buy the deal. So
Yeah,
I wasn't lying. You know,
Yeah.
I work with him. He owns a bunch, right? So
Yeah.
use references. Like,
Oh, that's smart.
you know, try to do stuff like that. And then also, this is a big thing. When you're young, this is going to happen. And I was just on Austin Zabak's show, and we
Okay.
were talking about this, and I know you were with him the other day. And he started when he was 18 out here in Arizona as well. And we were talking about how some people will give you that shot when you're young. You show up, and for whatever reason, they shouldn't want to do business with you,
So they just do
but
it.
they want to do business with you. They
Yeah,
want to
for
give
sure.
you that opportunity, something about it.
For
And
sure.
so just make sure you don't miss those shots. If you're young going out there trying to have a consumer have faith in you, don't miss your shot if they're trying to give you an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I could say 100% on my first deal where I made the 30,000, 1,000,000%. The guy was a like semi-retired, and he drove a school bus
Yeah.
to pick up kids from school. And 100% he wanted to give me an opportunity,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, 100%. I remember I was 25, so I was a little bit older, but there were people that are like, "Dude, you're young. Like, I love your little charm. We're gonna give you a shot to sell my house." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Hell yeah," because I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm gonna try really hard. That was
Yep.
like my pitch.
100%.
That's funny. But okay, so now in 2024, what does your business look like?
Yeah, so now in 2024, still in the same Scottsdale office, I have 3 acquisition managers and 1 dispo. So I have kept like my core guys that are killers on the phone
Yeah.
as acquisition. One of my acquisitions, I actually transitioned him into dispo, which has worked out phenomenally. So,
Yeah.
because I've hired dispo before, like just hiring somebody with like not even TC experience. I hired a banker as dispo, and then trying to I hired my banker, and trying to get
You're
them,
like, you're analytical. This will work.
yeah, and trying to get them to learn dispo wasn't good. So actually transitioning an act into dispo has been phenomenal, but a more analytical act that
Yeah.
is more tedious, you know, than others. That's worked out phenomenal. And so that's my whole thing. I have one main virtual assistant that like is the glue to all my businesses. That's been with me for 5 years as well. And then I have 17 cold callers, and then I'm doing a
Wow.
bunch of Facebook and Google ads.
17 cold callers. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yep.
So we'll go. So usually we do like sales, marketing, then operations. So like sales wise, what does like a typical acquisition person get paid?
Yeah. So it depends. I'm actually starting to shift people to more commission based than base. I'm
Yeah.
trying to lower my overhead.
Yeah,
And I think most people are trying
I
to
think
do
that's
that.
smart. Yeah,
With the change in the market, it just makes
Yeah.
sense to also, as the business owner, and when I'm focused on other businesses, it lowers my stress level.
Yep.
If my overhead is lower, I'm willing to give people more of the deal
yeah,
just so I can have less stress, more clarity, be able to grow my companies and focus better.
100%.
But primarily, most of my team is on $2,000 a month, 10% commission.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's like industry standard. About.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what I do. And then I'm doing lower bases at 15% commission.
Yeah.
So I'll do like 1,500 a month with
Yeah.
15%,
Yeah.
or I'm doing 20% flat commission only.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's what I'm hiring for right now. So if
Okay.
anybody lives in Arizona,
Arizona.
let me know.
Come
20% commission,
Yeah.
commission
A
only.
lot of leads for sure.
Tons of leads. Yeah.
Great mentorship. So that's
Yeah.
really
So
good.
that's what I'm paying people.
Okay, and then for your salespeople, what are like typical metrics that you're looking for them to do?
Yeah. We want 150 dials a day, and we
Okay.
want an hour and a half of talk time minimum.
Okay,
So
got it. And then what about like contracts and closings and all that stuff?
yeah, we want them to get at least 1 contract a week, and that should get them to close 2 deals a month
Oh, okay, so like a 50% fallout rate, 1 contract a week
minimum. Yeah.
minimum, and then like how many leads does it typically do, like
To-
new leads? Because you probably have a ton of leads. I'm guessing they're dialing through.
Yeah. So Facebook, we are at about 13 leads per contract, which is really, really good.
That's crazy. 13 leads per
Yeah, but
contract.
There's a big fallout rate with Facebook
Oh
leads.
yeah, of course. But is that
which-
nationwide or is that just in Arizona?
Nationwide.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then PPC, we're at 1 to 26.
Okay.
So that's
Is that
pretty
local
average.
or is that nationwide?
That's not fully nationwide, but
Yeah, major
semi.
cities.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then the cold calling, it's about, we've never had good cold call conversion rate ever. But that's because we let every lead come in. Like,
Yeah.
as long as somebody says they're interested in receiving an offer, submit the lead. We don't want to qualify that much because
Oh, okay.
one lady said, I'm driving, but yeah, I'm interested in an offer, and hung up. My caller still submitted the lead. I bought 4 pieces of property from her. This was like years ago. We made $250,000
Yeah.
on all of it.
Yeah.
So if we
That's
never
good.
got the lead,
Yeah.
we would have never made the money.
Yeah.
So that's why we're like 1 to 80 leads on
1 to
cold
80
call.
leads.
Yeah.
Which is still good
Yeah.
for
it's not
industry
bad.
standard. That's really good. And
Yeah.
cold call, is that nationwide or that's
No, we're doing 6 markets.
what are
And
like,
we fluctuate all the time. Right now we're doing Cali, Texas, Arizona. We're doing High Point, North Carolina, good market, and Little Rock, Arkansas.
got it. And then
Yeah.
why did you choose those markets?
We're trying. Well, I just closed a $120,000 deal in Cali from
In SoCal or where?
no, in like Temecula area.
Yeah, that's SoCal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We need to get on your buyers list.
yeah,
Damn.
let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had a bunch of foundation issues though. You might
That's
have known.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I flip houses. That's what I do. So
yeah. So because of that PVC deal we closed in Cali, we decided to turn on Cali.
Yeah.
But usually we don't call Cali.
Okay.
It's tougher.
Yeah.
We have a few times over the years, but
Yeah.
we usually turn it off. We're trying to focus more on smaller markets
Okay. Oh,
right now
in
that have a
Southern
little bit
California.
less
But what about the
competition,
other markets?
and
'Cause-
buyers are more active.
Yeah, because Cali's a big market. Even Temecula, like it's that little pocket isn't popular, but everyone around it typically buys there.
Yeah,
The other cities that you said, why did you choose those?
like places in Texas.
Yeah, or like you said, North Carolina.
Yeah,
and
North
Alabama or
Carolina,
something
High
like that?
Point, North Carolina is a good market. It's like the hood kind of.
Is it?
But there's tons of like slumlords that buy up all the property there. Like
Really?
crappy landlords love to buy these houses. They're
Crappy landlord.
yeah. Yeah.
That's so
It's
funny.
true because they're so shady when you're selling them the deals.
Oh, really?
They're just they're sleazy but they're all like $110,000 houses.
Oh,
110,
okay.
115 is what we're selling them for. So like markets like that where the prices are around 100,000, that's why we choose the markets.
Yeah.
We want houses where the median home value is around 150,000.
Why is that?
Interest rates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
They're
because
easier
the
to
cost of
sell.
money,
Yeah.
right? If the entry level's around 100,000, it's going to cost them a lot less risk, all that.
Yeah.
And so with the scarcity in the marketplace that buyers have, just because of the economy and everything, going to those markets with the median home value of around 150 has been key to our success.
Interesting. And then so how many deals do you think you'll do this year?
Yeah, we'll do between 50 to 60 transactions this year.
Okay, from those 50 to 60, what is like the split between the markets? Is it like the main markets, Phoenix, or like is it just it's kind
Dude,
of
it
spread?
is so random now over the
Oh,
past 2
wow.
years. So random.
Yeah.
And it's just so random because we're doing so much digital ads mixed with the cold calling, and then we're doing nationwide campaigns, and we're doing targeted campaigns that it's literally so random. Where my business for the majority of my career used to be 90% of my deals were here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
90% of them. So, yeah, it's just completely changed. And I wish Arizona's just it's just not super good market anymore. Like for
Really?
us, we're just not having great success with it.
Mm.
It's just everybody's been called like 7,000 times.
Yeah.
So it's just like calling this market's tough.
Yeah.
But I wish I could do more deals here. I find it so fun to do deals here where I can actually go see them
Yeah.
and decide whether to flip them or not.
Yeah.
That big deal I just did in Cali, I was considering flipping.
Mhm.
It's because it's near where my aunt lives.
Oh, okay.
But when I heard about that, you could put a tennis ball anywhere in the house and it would start rolling because
Yeah.
the foundation was so bad.
You're like, nah, I'm good.
I'm like,
Maybe it was just tree roots.
yeah, maybe it was under the whole house. Yeah.
That's funny.
I'm like, maybe I'm not going to drive 5 hours every 2 weeks to check on this flip.
Oh yeah, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever have anything in Cali, hit me up. So
Okay.
if you're his dispo guy, I need to talk to you. But
Got you.
let's talk about, I guess, the Facebook. Are you working with an agency or are you like running them yourself?
Running them myself. So
Really?
I was working with agencies, running PVC and Facebook, but at like the thing is, you got to keep in mind. I mean, there is a few good ones out there that you could probably find. I think you guys are starting to help
Kitchen,
people
yeah.
with marketing
Yeah.
too, so I'm sure that's good. But for me, it's like other people are spending your dollars, and they're never gonna be looking at your campaigns as close as you would. They're
Yeah.
never gonna be checking every day to move things to negative keywords as often,
Yeah.
and negative search terms. So I decided, if it costs me $2,000 a month to pay somebody to manage the campaign, I might as well bite
Hire
the bullet
someone.
now, pay a bunch of money up front to get mentored on how to run it myself. And over a year, I'll get paid back, because if I
Yeah.
spend $2K a month for a year and I paid somebody like 10 grand for mentorship, it'll
Who'd
come
you
back.
pay?
I paid a couple different people. I bought a few different courses.
Yeah.
And then, I can't say, they don't want to teach anybody.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's like, with the Facebook, this guy
Yeah.
didn't want to teach anybody.
Yeah.
'Cause he has like a secret method that's
for
working
sure.
out well.
Okay.
But with the PBC, I went through Nick Perry's stuff.
Okay.
And then I went through
Also,
also.
you do PPC yourself also.
Yeah.
Like, is it actually you doing it or you have someone on your team?
Me doing it.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's actually, once you like set it all up and learn it,
Yeah.
like it takes like maybe 30 minutes a day just to
Interesting.
check it out.
Yeah.
I'm
What-
still getting better at it too.
Yeah.
But we're making money and we're getting a 4 or 5x. So
On PPC?
yeah,
What about Facebook?
3.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
What about
it was
cold
better
calling?
when I first was doing Facebook. It was 4x. I think it's getting a lot more competitive.
Oh,
the
for
Facebook
sure.
ads. Everybody's
sure.
diving into that.
Yeah.
So that's why it's down to like a 3x. But the good thing about it, even though we're not getting as good of a return, is the cost per lead's lower, and it keeps your team fired up because the
okay.
leads are a lot more enjoyable to talk to than cold call leads. So
that's so funny.
filtering,
Yeah.
Sprinkling in some of those like
It's
more
like
motivated
dessert.
leads.
Yeah. It's like,
It's
here's
good.
a good one.
Yeah.
No, get back to the freaking
Yeah.
dungeon with the cold call leads.
Yeah.
What about so with Facebook? So I went to Alex Hermosi's workshop, right? And I actually got to speak to his CMO. And he said with Facebook that what's going to happen is audiences are going to go away, and like Facebook is going to be able to like tell based on your ad, where you're at, the words that you're saying, who to like push it to.
And they're just going to show it for you.
And they run ads like that. I'm sure they have some targeted stuff, but from what he told me, they run ads like that sometimes. What have you seen? Do you think it really matters who you target? Have you
Yeah.
tried no targeting?
No, it 100% matters who you target. The beautiful thing about it is you're able to do a lookalike audience. So you can take all your leads that you've gotten from like like for example, I was running PPC before I ever started Facebook. So I took every PPC lead that I've ever gotten, which was like 1,000 leads, and I went and I inputted that in as a lookalike audience in Facebook. And so then it just started targeting me to the exact same avatars of the people that have already came through my website before.
Yeah.
And so I really like that. That's concerning. It could be great because that sounds like, as the business owner, okay, I don't have to worry about as much. I don't have to worry
Yeah.
about creating audiences, locations.
Yeah.
Like if I just tell Facebook, I want people that want to sell their house and they'll figure it out for me.
Yeah.
That sounds great. But that
Yeah.
also sounds concerning because it's rule of thumb with when you're running Google pay-per-click that their representatives from Google are always going to call you and try to have strategy sessions and tell
Yeah.
you to turn like on smart campaigns and all these things
Yeah.
that are horrible for your ads. You don't want to
Don't listen to your rep.
don't listen to the person from Google.
Yeah.
So that's concerning because it's like it might be the same way with Facebook where it just won't hit at all for
We'll
our
see.
industry. We'll
Yeah.
have to see.
It might. So I want to keep talking about marketing, but do you know Clinton Cooper or no?
No.
He was in our program. He ended up being like a huge real estate investor out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to him the other day. So his big thing was mail, right?
Yep.
So in the state of Georgia, now when you're sending out mail, you have to put a big disclosure on it explaining what the mail piece is about. And that completely tanked his mail. So now he's having to pivot. So what I've seen is just like everything only works for a certain amount of time. So you almost have to like squeeze it as much as you can before like it gets saturated, or something just change and then it doesn't work anymore?
Yeah, this has been one of my struggles as an entrepreneur. I'm not the type of person, I think Ryan is. I think I just heard him talking about this, how he's been really good at always adapting,
Oh, for
always
sure.
pivoting right away.
Yeah.
And he's cool with it, right?
Yeah.
He like rolls with it. Me, I'm like always like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I have to change everything up
Yeah.
again.
You're like, I
Again?
thought I figured it out, dude.
I just did this 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, I hate
Yeah.
it. I hate
It
that
sucks,
part
yeah.
of business,
Yeah.
but
It
it's
is
part
what
of
it
the
is.
game.
For sure.
So you got to get used to it, roll with the punches, and change things up. And that's how it's been with cold calling too. It's been a lot harder to reach people with all the spam detection and
Oh yeah, we'll talk about
and the
that too.
carriers
Yeah.
have been putting a lot of restrictions in.
Yeah.
So figuring that out's been a challenge as well.
Yeah. So, and that's why on this podcast, I try to make sure that I ask people what they're doing now. Cause when I first started, I'd be watching videos from like 7 years ago and that stuff doesn't work. So
Yeah,
I'm saying that, like, if you're listening to this, like, subscribe right now. Literally. Yeah.
'cause
Like,
you-
literally just do it. It's free.
yeah.
But, all right. So with the Facebook, you're running the ads. You're saying 12 leads to a contract?
13.
13 leads to a
Yep.
contract, which is crazy. Anything else you think on Facebook that people need to know? Do you think Facebook would work if you only did one market? If you just did Phoenix?
Your cost per lead's probably going to be like $70 a lead. So
That's
then
low. What's your cost per lead?
my
right
cost
now?
per lead's max 45.
That's super cheap.
Yeah, but we're
That's
doing
crazy.
100 cities.
But that's still super cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I've done pay per lead. I've done everything.
Yeah.
Pay per lead companies right now, like Sell My House Fast, they're charging $375 to $475 for a lead. And this
Yeah.
is not like a golden lead where they're like, yeah, please,
Yeah.
I want to sell. This is like, yeah, I want to sell. What are you gonna give me? Like
Yeah,
basic
so
leads.
if you can figure out how to get decent leads coming in, and even if they're $70, $80,
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Yeah. That's
Um,
really good.
Yeah. And my whole career, like how you said, like old stuff doesn't work. My whole career, all I did was cold calling.
Yeah.
So now doing all these digital ads, it's me pivoting. It's me doing what's working in today's market.
Yeah. And then you said you're doing it at 100 cities, but then you said you're doing deals in like 5 cities.
Yeah, I'm cold calling like 5 cities.
Oh.
Yep. And then I'm targeting 100 cities through Facebook. And then I'm
Oh.
doing nationwide on PPC,
Oh.
avoiding like all the bad counties that are super rural.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So, anything else on Facebook before you get to like PPC or cold calling?
No, I just think Facebook, it's good right now. Like you were saying,
Yeah.
capitalize on when
Milk
things
it.
are working.
Yeah.
But I honestly see me fading out of the Facebook and focusing only on Google
Got
in like
it.
the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. I'll tell you one more quick story. So, I was doing, do you know what expired listings are?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was doing expired listings in Vegas. That was working for me. I was making a couple $100K as a realtor doing it, right? I moved to California. The year that I moved to California, it was a fairly hot market. So, that means it's less expired, right?
Yep.
So I was like, all right, this isn't working anymore. I need to figure some out. I started calling NODs. Redx at the time just came out with NOD numbers. So I start calling them. I'm getting like a contract a day, right? I'm like getting appointments every day. I'm like, bro, this is like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
I remember driving home some days like, man, this is so easy. I could do this till I'm 55. I'd call the homeowners. They're like, what do you mean my house is an NOD? How do you know that? You're the only person calling me. I was like, this is great. Within the next couple of months, you're the 15th person that called me today. Like, don't hang up. Like, it completely got saturated. It still worked, but it completely just got way harder. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm just trying to emphasize the point to people. If you find something that works, crank the freaking most that you can out of it, because at some point it's rather going to get saturated or something's going to happen. RVMs, I was crushing RVMs
Yeah.
before 2019. I was maybe potentially supposedly sending out hundreds of thousands a day.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, supposedly, not really me. And it was working. And then I
Yeah.
got sued. And then I was like, okay, I got to shut this down. So,
I got sued for cold calling.
oh, really?
Cost me $28,000. Yep, to settle it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude
What
was
would you
a
say to people that are scared of cold calling?
Don't give out your real name.
Ah, there you go.
Through cold call, The seller signs the contract before our buyer name even shows up on the contract.
Oh.
They don't know who we are till they sign something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if they seem like they're a litigator, I have a whole training now since that whole thing happened. My team has to go through this training. If they seem like a litigator, like, because the training, they listen to like all these recordings of past litigators that have sent us demand letters.
Holy crap.
And so they're able to, know if somebody's a litigator. And then we send them like a waiver to sign agreeing to talk to them too. If like they seem like a litigator, but usually they just hang up, move on to the next person because we know like this dude's just trying to sue us.
Interesting.
But like I had 34 cold callers at peak.
Yeah.
Back in 2021 when I was doing only cold calling, and I was making few million phone calls every single month, and I've only
Holy crap.
dealt with one lawsuit.
Where
So
was
don't
the
be
litigator
scared.
from?
The litigator's from Nevada.
Oh,
And
Nevada.
he's allegedly he's a serial litigator. This is what
Yeah.
he does for a living.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So I'll tell you my story. So, we're cranking out RVMs, right?
Yeah.
And I had a small office. It's probably like 200 square feet. I had me and 2 acquisition guys, and then I hear my acquisition guy talking to someone. And usually when they start talking to someone, then I come over and I'm like, all right, let's see the numbers. Let me like tell them what to say or whatever.
Yep.
I could hear the guy. He's like, yeah, I want 250. And then the Zillow was pulled up and it's like 500K. And I'm like, okay. And then we looked up the name of the house, or we looked up the property profile, and his name didn't match that. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's weird. And then he was like, yeah, I want 250. I want to sell. We're like, why do you want to sell? He's like, man, I just really want to get rid of it. Let's just do this. And then I'm like, okay. And then he's like, yeah, like what was your name again? And then
Yeah.
I was like, okay. My guy was talking and he told him his real name. And then he was like, yeah, like I want to sell. What's your company name again? And then I'm like, right there. That was just like, it's normal for people to ask it, but the way he was asking it was
Yeah.
very specific. And then we kept going. And then he was like, yeah, send me the contract right now. We're about to send it. And he was like, yeah, like, and then send me your do not call policy. And then I was like, fuck.
Yep.
So then I was like, hang up on him. So we hung up on him, and I was like, damn it, like block him, get him out of everything. And then we got a demand letter it was like 15 or 20K, right? And then my dumbass was like, all right, I'm going to hire a lawyer. So I hired a lawyer, which was stupid because I ended up paying them thousands of dollars. But they were referred to me by like a big guru that's gone through this before. So I trusted them. The lawyer on an email with me and the guy starts arguing with the guy. Like, oh, you don't know what you're doing. This is such a like scam to the guy. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you arguing with this guy to the lawyer? I'm like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
what do you think is going to happen? And then, so this starts getting drug out. I stop all my marketing because it was freaking me out. And then what I did, which I should have done in the very beginning, I got the LLC that was on the lawsuit and I put it into Google. Guess what comes up? His name versus Sunrun. His name versus Bank of America. His name versus blah 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 blah. Like literally pages of just lawsuits.
That's what he does.
And I started reading the reviews, and he won, he settled, he won. So I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna win. So I called him. I was like, hey dude, this is Brian. Blah 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 blah. I'm sorry. I apologize for calling you. I apologize that my attorney pissed you off. And he's like, yeah, I want an apology from her. Blah 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 blah. I was like, hey dude, like, what do you want? Like, I want to work things out with you. I ended up settling with him for like 15 grand or 12 grand or something like that. And then I apologized. The lawyer apologized.
Yeah.
But I could have just handled it way faster if I would have just paid him.
Me too.
But yeah, I want to hear your story.
Me too. I could have settled it much easier if I just settled it. This guy was the real deal. Like, real deal.
Shout out to that guy.
This guy was sending packets to me before the demand letter was this thick.
Holy crap.
On the nicest paper I've ever seen, like mailed, certified mail, the whole nine. And it was a lawsuit right? It was his complaint. It wasn't just a regular demand letter. It was his complaint, like a draft of the complaint, and it said, I can't say this word, putative defendants. Whatever that word is. So supposed defendants.
Yeah.
Like, and listed me, my sales rep, my company, right? So he drafted a lawsuit, and so this dude knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
I should have just settled it. There was so much other shit going on in my life at the time that I was like distracted and whatnot, and I was talking with him, but I was like knew he was just trying to blackmail me, so I didn't want to. I was like holding out. I probably could have settled it for like 15 grand. Then I hired an attorney. Your attorney actually was doing a good job, I think, because trying to like maybe the arguing, like if it was unprofessional, that's not good. If it was like litigating with the dude, then that would have been good.
Yeah.
I just got rinsed by my attorneys, like. And watch out, because that's what they'll do. They're in the business of literally taking your money and like not really doing anything for you. Allegedly.
Yeah.
But wound up settling it, like I cut him a check for 18 grand.
Okay.
And then and he did sue me. He did sue me. So I actually had to like hire an attorney. Too. To respond. And I settled it like right after he sued me. Like I settled it in the period before the lawsuit was active. Like, you have like 30 days to respond. So I settled it within the 30 days, cut him a check for 18, spent about 10 grand on legal fees.
Oh, okay. So what would you tell people now, or like what's the training if they're cold calling?
Yeah, and same thing. Looked his name up, all these lawsuits, then started doing some more research on him. He's been doing this since the 1970s. This is what he does for a living, allegedly. Because I probably can't talk about him.
We are sorry.
I can't talk about him. I don't know. This is a made-up story.
Hypothetically.
And even spoke to like Century 21. He got 150 G's from him.
Oh, dang.
150 G's. So I knew... Get out of this. Allegedly, But if you're cold calling, I've made like millions and millions of phone calls every single month, 34 cold callers, done the whole thing. It's highly unlikely that you're going to get sued, going to have this happen. You might even get a demand letter. I've gotten like 12 of them. 1 out of 12 has actually done something. The other ones I just didn't respond to. So, and I started to learn like who's legit, who's really the real deal. I would do research, and now I knew who was legit and who's not, so I could tell by what they sent me. Also, you can totally have a LLC and then a marketing name that isn't your LLC. So why not? If my LLC is Homebuyers 321 LLC, why don't I just say that this is homebuyers.com or whatever, like calling. So just give them a marketing name that's similar to your LLC. And then just try to figure out if they're an actual seller that wants to sell before you send them the contract with your name on it.
And seriously, this is not legal advice at all. Just so everyone knows, you got to do whatever you think is right. Contact your local attorney and figure out.
That's what I do to deal with it. Cold calling, if you're calling people to buy from them, it's not necessarily illegal, especially if you're trying to scrub for DNC and you have like a DNC policy where like if they say they don't want to be called, you instantly DNC them. Like if you follow certain regulations, you're good. It's different if you're calling somebody trying to sell them something, right? We're trying to buy from them. We're trying to give them money. So it's a different type of phone call where it's actually more like you're able to do it.
Interesting.
In more states, you're able to do it.
Okay, so what's your cost per lead for Facebook? Again, cold calling and PPC?
Yeah, cost per lead on cold calling varies between 13 to 19. I track it week by week. On a bad week, $19 a lead. Good week, $13 a lead. You want to be right around there, between like around $13, $15 a lead. That's good for cold calling. And then Facebook is between $35 to $45 a lead, depending on the different like ad sets, the different campaigns. And then Google, it depends. Like we'll get down to $80 a lead some months, but most of the time we're sitting at around $145, $155.
That's still cheap.
Yeah,
but you're doing
broad.
If you were Phoenix, that'd probably be higher.
Oh, $200-$300 a lead.
Yeah, maybe more. Yeah. But I could see that. What about for cold calling, what dialers, like where do you think the best data is now? Like all that stuff.
I was using the ready mode dialer for the longest time.
That's what
I'm
we use.
still using it a bit, but I'm starting to transition to the Enzo dialer. It just came
Okay.
out. Angel Garcia has
Okay.
invented it. It's like it basically on ready mode, your callers get fed 200 to 300 calls a day. This dialer will give them 600 to 700 calls a day. Average wait
Interesting.
time on ready mode in between calls is 45 seconds. Average wait time on Enzo dialer is 12 seconds
Wow.
in between calls.
Yeah.
So like once I put my agents on this, they were
Yeah.
like, dude, I can't even breathe. Calls are coming in left and right.
Really?
And I'm like, that's great. And They
Yeah.
were like complaining about it. I'm like, this is good. You're going to get more leads, more bonuses, more deals. Like,
Yeah.
this is great.
What about data?
Data. I've always not been the guy to like necessarily spend the most money on data.
Yeah.
I use Cole Realty Resource. You might know
Yeah,
it.
I know
It's
Cole.
for,
Yeah,
it's
that's
for-
old school.
They only market to realtors. They've been
Yeah.
around for 70 years.
Yeah.
Through me, you're able to pay. I think it's $800 for the year for your market, and you're able to pull unlimited data with phone numbers.
Yeah.
So you don't need to skip trace. So for $800, you can get like hundreds of thousands of phone numbers
Yeah.
to houses. But there's not as much criteria that you can sort for. But
Mm.
my favorite list that I pull from there is 15 years plus residence.
Oh,
So that means
okay.
I'm getting people with high equity.
Yeah.
And I do a shotgun approach with my marketing when it comes
Yeah.
to cold calling,
Yeah.
rather than like trying to focus on
Sniper.
like
Yeah.
NODs only, pre-foreclosures.
Interesting.
And like you mentioned about how something works, like I was doing a lot of deals with foreclosures as well out here.
Yeah.
But now, if you don't door knock them, you're not doing deals with them. There's just
Really?
no way. You
Yeah.
try to call them, not a chance.
Interesting.
You got to door knock them.
Anything else you think people need to know with like cold calling?
No, the main thing is be weary about where you're hiring the callers from.
Yeah.
Make sure it's a
Oh
rep.
yeah. Where do you get your callers?
Yeah, they all work for me direct in
Oh,
Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah,
How do you find them?
through Facebook groups.
Oh.
And I used to go to Rocky Point a lot. It's like 4 hours from here.
What is
And
it?
Rocky Point, Mexico.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like 4 hours from here, and I would meet people there. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Bro, you're crazy.
Because I
That's
hired
funny.
some from Facebook and then started building it out.
Did you
there.
just show up there and you're just walking around like, hey,
Well,
what's up?
My parents had condos there, so we'd go like every 2 weeks.
Oh,
So I was able
okay.
to like, I hired some through Facebook, and then they like connected me. I would go get like food with them, and then I'm like, find me other people, and started finding more people. I also do use one center though in the Philippines, and I have some of my callers there. Not half, like
Yeah.
like five
Yeah.
of them there.
How much do you pay your VAs?
Yeah, I pay my VAs between $3 to $4 an hour.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
really good. Do you have them insurance or anything crazy like that or no?
Do I have what?
Give them insurance. I've heard of
Oh,
like people
in
paying for
Like
insurance.
health benefits?
Health insurance, yeah.
No,
I've heard of people
I
doing that.
had like my managers set up on that.
Mm-hmm.
So in Mexico, getting it's called seguro, I believe, or yeah, that's what it's called, and it's very important to them. When they've been working for you for a while, they want to be on it because they get points to get a loan for a house. They get health care for their kids,
Oh, really?
like all this stuff. So yeah, I did have all my managers on it. But I got rid of like most of my managers. I just have one now.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but I did figure all that out and get them set up.
So you have a manager managing like 20 of them?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's interesting.
And now, like with those benefits, he just signs up for them himself rather than them coming from me as the company.
Yeah.
So they're all independent contractors.
And then do you pay for a dialer for all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess like how do you like what criteria do you have for them to like make sure that they're doing good or if you should get rid of them?
Yeah, and I'm actually able to save money on seats. All my callers, they work from home. I did have an office in Mexico for like a year, but I shut it down and sent everybody home to work from home because it was working out better, and I stopped going there as much.
Yeah.
And so they love to work for me because they get to work when they want. From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., they can log in whenever they want. And so I'm able to actually buy less dialer seats because not everybody's working at the same time. So I'm able to save money there. As far as stats, we want them to get 2 leads a day on ready mode. We're now wanting them to get 4 leads a day on Enzo. Because they're getting double the calls.
Yeah. And then
And 10 leads a week and 20 leads now a week on Enzo.
what is a lead?
A lead is somebody that says they want a cash offer for their property, and then that can be sent in, but they need to try to get all the other questions on the script answered.
Oh, okay. So like motivation and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Got it.
Condition, occupancy.
And then do you track like closings per VA or you just track
Yeah.
leads?
Yeah. We track where, obviously, what marketing channel the lead came from, and then what cold caller the lead came from as well.
Got it.
When we get a deal, and then they get $100 when the deal closes.
Oh, that's good.
Yep.
Anything else you think for marketing?
Marketing in general, like, rather than like all these like analytical things about marketing, like in general, in this business, the cash conversion cycle is 60, 90 days.
Yeah.
So never turn your marketing off. This is where a lot of people screw up in this business. They'll have, let's say, 50K on the board ready to close, and they'll sit back. They'll say, I'm going to turn my marketing off till this closes.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I have the funds, or they don't want to risk more money until this stuff closes. But guys, this is going to set you back 60 to 90 days. So if you're constantly turning your marketing off once you have deals lined up, you're going to be wasting half the year. You need a consistent flow of opportunities at all times, no matter what, in this business. And in any business, you need consistent flow of customers. So if you run out of cash, use credit. Do your own risk, your own money, whatever you want to do to take risk. You know, everybody's got their own risk tolerance. But like, guys, if you need to go to credit to keep your marketing on, do it. Yeah. Because you don't want to set yourself back and waste half your year by turning your marketing on and off.
Yeah. I don't know if I asked you this already, but like, how much have you made wholesaling?
Yeah, I'd say probably 5.5 million now.
Dang.
And I've been doing it for coming up on 5 years.
Yeah. So like $1 million a year.
Yeah.
I started at 17, which is crazy.
Yep.
But I think we covered marketing. I don't think there's anything else, right?
Yeah, we covered marketing.
Yeah, we talked about ROAS, cost per lead, all that stuff.
We did.
Okay, let's just talk about operations and like leadership, right?
Yeah.
What were some of your strengths and challenges as a leader?
Yeah, so everybody I hired was around the same age as me. They were 18 to 24 years old. And so, the guy that's been with me 5 years, he's almost 30 now. So he was older. But other than that, everybody's been around the same age as me. So what happens when everybody's the same age as you? You become friends with them. And then what does the respect do? It drops off a cliff. So once you become friends with them, they don't want to listen to you no more. They start kicking their feet up on the desk. They start not working as good. And then it's just a matter of time before they don't work anymore. And a bad apple can ruin the whole bunch. So keep that in mind. And I wasn't a good leader because I was a kid. Now I think I'm a much better leader. Yeah. Because I was a kid. I didn't know. Like, now I'm a young man. I know what I stand for. I know what I believe in. I know what I want in the workplace. I know what I agree with being talked about in the workplace and what I don't agree with being talked about. I know what core values I live by, morals, ethics, right? I know the kind of man that I am now, but I was a kid. I didn't know. Like, so think about trying to build a culture if you don't even have your own culture figured out, right? That's a problem. So those were struggles. So you're going to want to figure out your culture, what you believe in, and then build that in your office for sure. That's like got to be the culture in the office has got to be like the number one most crucial thing for building a sales team. Like, that comes down to even just the environment, like the workplace, where your office is located, what it looks like. People need to want to go to where you work. They want to like think it's cool to work there. So investing a little bit more money in your office, right? Trying to make it nice in there, cool in there, right? Those things are super important.
100%. Yeah, I think it's really incredible to speak to you and like hear what you've done.
Thank you.
Because I feel like I started when I was 25 and I thought I was young and just like inexperienced and all that stuff. So for you to just do all this while you're young is incredible.
I appreciate you. And the biggest thing is being resourceful. Just trying to figure everything out. And instead of like, most of the time, common sense will solve your problem. So if you can just critically think, have common sense, like that's the only thing I learned in school, critical thinking skills. Yeah. Math, not so good at it. Spelling, terrible at it. Grammar, don't even try. But critical thinking skills, I've got it. So if you can just have common sense, be resourceful, that's how you'll be able to get through those barriers as you're trying to get into the industry. if I wasn't able to be like that and have that tenacity to do that, I wouldn't have been able to get to this level for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and like I'm just like the most ambitious person ever. It's honestly bad. Like like it's good, but it's terrible at the same
Yeah.
time because
Yeah.
I have no chill. It's always I need to take this to the next level. Need to become massively successful.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to be at the level I'm at freshly turned 22. Because
Dang, that's
the
crazy.
future's bright, bro. The future
Yeah.
is bright.
What else do you want to do in like entrepreneurship?
Yeah. It's tough. I definitely really, and it's tough to figure out. I get this question a lot, and I'm kind of in that phase of like trying to figure out what else I want to do, right? Because I've been able to build this business, this real estate business that, runs pretty well without me. So now I have some more time to focus on other things. So it's like, what do I do? And I love the social media stuff.
Yeah.
I definitely want to do more of that, more of the coaching, helping people. Like one of my one-on-one mentorship students, he just closed an $85,000 deal at 23 years old.
Wow, that's
and it's
crazy.
just like, dude, my biggest wholesale deal ever was for 210,000.
Damn.
And I had a bigger smile on my face for him closing an $85,000 deal than any deal I've ever done.
For sure.
And so I love that. So I want to do more of that. And that was a big thing for me too. And if you're getting started out there, document the journey, put it out there for other people to see.
Yeah.
I started doing YouTube like 2.5, 3 years ago. I put out a video where I was like 17. I looked so young in it about how I got my first deal. And it's got like 50,000 views at this point. And if you think about it, how many people watched that and then decided to do this business? Like,
oh, for sure.
It just changes so many lives. So I think that's really where I want to lean more in towards is all that social media stuff and helping other people succeed.
What about are you like Christian? Are you faithful? Or do you have a
I'm Jewish.
Okay.
And I do believe in God and I'm definitely getting way more into my faith, and building a relationship with God. 1,000,000%. I've had a lot of challenges. Like, guys, if you're going to want to chase after a big life, you're going to have big challenges, big problems.
Yeah.
And I could not have gotten through these challenges. I could not be where I'm at without God, 100%.
Yeah, so I think that's really good too, to build that foundation while you're young.
Yeah.
Because what happens is like a lot of people come into this business or just any business. When they're young, they make a bunch of money, and then they go kind of buck wild and party and all this crap, and then they break everything. They break from anxiety or depression or whatever, and then they got to like build back up. But if you could build that foundation with God while you're young, that's going to be really important.
Yeah, and I've been broken down and built up. Like, that's just, it's how life goes. It's what turns you into who you need to be. And dude, I'm trying to be right there with God every step of the way. It's the only way.
What about
100%?
Are you single or are you married or?
I was in like a 2-year relationship, but I'm fresh out of that at the beginning of this year, so I'm single.
There we go.
Yeah.
Any ladies?
But I've been seeing somebody new.
Okay,
in
all right.
Orange County.
Oh,
So
in
I've
Orange
been-
County?
Yeah.
So you're moving to Orange County then?
Maybe.
Are you really?
Yeah, maybe. Nah,
I moved
can't
to
move,
Chino
but-
for my wife.
Really?
Yeah, I moved to California for my wife.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like I could spend. I don't like the overcast, like June gloom and all that. Like, it's like
Where does she live?
like Laguna Beach area.
Bro, Laguna Beach is so nice.
But it's like cloudy till like 1.
Nah.
So I'm like, shoot, I don't know. I like the Arizona sunshine. But,
Oh, okay. You like Arizona.
but I could probably spend half the year there. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking about that. Most
Yeah.
of my family is in California as well.
In like where? Temecula?
Marietta area.
Marietta?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so I started in real estate in Vegas, and then I met my wife. And then for me personally at the time, I lived like on the same street from like 5 to like 25. Not the exact same street, but like a major street pretty much. And then I was just like, dude, I've been driving up this damn street for like 25 years. Like, when am I going to freaking do something different? So I moved to California. When I moved to California, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anything about California. And then scaled my real estate business there, flipping and wholesaling. And to me, that was like one of the best decisions I've ever made, because for me at the time, it forced me to get out of my comfort zone.
Yep.
And then you meet new people, you go through new experiences. California is a beautiful state. Of course, LA sucks, but California is not LA. That's the part where everyone gets confused. They're like, oh, well, this and that. I'm like, bro, that's LA. Laguna
Yeah.
Beach, Orange County is
Oh,
like a
it's so
Republican,
nice.
beautiful.
Yeah, it is Republican too.
Yeah, yeah,
Super conservative. Yeah. Yeah, like it's like any state. There's bad parts, there's good parts. Like, but
100%.
you gotta, if you listen to the media, you'll just think it's all bad. But yeah, I think
Exactly.
it's beautiful, and I think that's huge. Like, guys, if you've been like in the same place your whole life, get out of your comfort zone. And I also need to travel more and like move around and do stuff. Like I've been behind the desk for like so many years, just trying to become rich.
Yeah.
That it's been good to like be going back and forth to California a
Oh,
bunch.
for sure.
And that's even been opened my mind too. Oh, dude, I go to Laguna, Newport area, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm broke.
You are, bro, compared
yeah.
to there when you see like.
I'm like, this is crazy.
You're like, this 1,200 square foot house is more than my net worth right here.
And I'm like, she lives there?
Yeah.
I need to make more money somehow.
I know. That's kind of good.
So I
yeah.
get back here and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
let's get it.
That's so funny.
It's so true. Like
That's how
like,
it was too.
Yeah, left and right, Ferrari, Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, I went.
Like it's crazy.
I went to Ed Milet's house, so I thought I was doing pretty well. Oh my god, I'll tell you a funny story. So me and Ryan went to Ed Milet's house to do a podcast,
Yeah.
right? And then we show up. He shows us around the house. He takes us to the backyard. His backyard is like grass, like a big piece of grass, and then sand, and then water. Like he's on the water,
Yeah.
right?
It's crazy.
And then I don't even know if he wants people to know this, but he was like, "Yeah, I own that house right there, and then I own the house next to it, and then I own this house. And I'm selling this house, and then I got another one over there." And then I'm like, "Holy crap!"
These are like $50, $100 million houses.
Yeah, they're expensive, and I'm just like, "Holy crap!" And then before the podcast, right? Was talking to him, and he was like, "Yeah, well, tell me about where do you live?" He's like, "Yeah, I live in Vegas." Brian's like, "I live in Vegas. I got I just bought a house. It's worth like $4 million." And he's like, "Oh man, you're just being modest. Your house isn't worth $4 million." And then he was like,
No, it really is. That's so funny.
It was so
Yeah.
funny.
Oh my
He made
God.
a few comments like that where he's like, "Oh, bro, you're just being modest. You make a couple
He's in a
million."
whole nother echelon.
Oh
dude.
yeah,
It's crazy, bro.
Yeah,
It's
so
crazy.
yeah, definitely in California, you'll meet people, just random places.
Dude, this
like-
is just from me driving around. I didn't go
Yeah.
to Ed Milet's house or
Yeah.
anything. I'm just driving around realizing that I'm broke.
yeah,
Like
100%. And there's like old money there too, not
Yeah.
like where you'll see like an old couple. You'll talk to them and they're like, "Yeah, I have an insurance business and I own a bank in Ontario." You're like,
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of new money too. Like,
Yeah,
And there's a
100%.
lot of daddy's money.
a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of
tons of
that.
that. Like kids rolling around with all their dad's money.
Yeah, that's freaking funny. But
yeah, getting
so-
around places like that's huge. Like it's expanding my mind.
yeah, even so, last thing to talk about too. You talked about expanding your mindset. Me coming out here was to expand my mindset.
Yeah.
Spending time with all these entrepreneurs, looking at this office here, doing all this crap and getting out of the day to day, you get inspired, you get new ideas, you understand like new levels. And I guarantee you're never gonna be 33 and be like, "Damn, I'm pissed that I traveled so much."
Yeah.
There's no way. You're going to be like, "Man, I'm grateful," because once you have kids and all these things, you can't just pick up and bounce and go
Yeah.
to California and do all this crap.
I probably have the most freedom I'll ever have right now. And
sure.
it would be a huge loss to not recognize that and make sure I do something with it. And yeah, dude, like I was dealing with a lot of stuff and the market changing, so I needed to focus on my business and whatnot. So I wasn't getting out as much and networking. I wasn't coming here to the All-In office as much, being
Yeah.
around them. And your mindset starts to shrink. Like
Oh,
it's
for
true.
sure.
Like if you don't stay active in the community and seeing what heights other people are achieving, like
Yeah.
you start to get complacent. You
Oh,
need
for
to see
sure.
what's possible in order to shoot for the stars.
Yeah. And like, I hear all the time. So we've had thousands of people go through Wealthy Investor. I've coached people that started at zero, made millions, people doing 1 deal, 20 deals a month. You know how many times I hear like, "My business right now, it just really needs me." And then 2 years from now, "Dude, just right now is like, I can't do
Yeah.
anything." I'm like, "Bro, you can't be a slave to your business." Like,
100%.
you didn't get into business to be a slave to your business. Like,
And you'll get to the point where you literally can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You're one step away from being in the hospital if you
Exactly.
keep doing it. And I've been there.
100%.
And you get to those points in business where I'm not good at delegating. I micromanage. I'm super like OCD about my business because it's my
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
But I've stopped because I've been at the point where like, dude, I'm gonna die if
Yeah.
I keep running, like having my hand in every part of this business. I'm
Yeah.
literally gonna explode. So then I just started fire sale pretty much. You do this, you do
Yeah.
this, take
Yeah.
this off my plate,
Yeah.
and then business might go like this, but then it
Yeah.
goes like this, and
Yeah.
that's just part of it. And for me, like I've made a lot of money now, and saved a lot of money.
Yeah.
I've done well, and it's like I don't want to be stuck behind the desk every day.
No.
So I'm gonna find a way to not be. And doing that, I've actually started to make more money because I've
Mhm.
been able to do more stuff like this, expand my mindset, and then bring those ideas, bring that energy back to my business,
Mhm.
and be more like a visionary about the thing and just put things in place rather than being stuck in the day to day.
Yeah.
But I think for everybody, takes a few years to get there for sure.
Yeah. For sure.
And don't rush that too.
Yeah.
Just
Enjoy
trying
the
to-
process.
Yeah, trying to step out of your business too early will destroy your
Oh
business.
yeah, that's another big mistake people make. But
Yeah.
so on YouTube, we're gonna leave all the descriptions to your Instagram and YouTube and all that stuff. But for the people listening to this on Audible and Spotify,
Yeah.
where do they go?
Yeah, jacobblank.com, and you'll be able to find all my socials there. I post 2 to 3 YouTube videos every single week. I've been doing that for the past 3 years. So if you want to learn about the business, watch me on YouTube, subscribe. I'd appreciate it, and I'd love to help you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on.
Of course, man.
And thank you guys for listening. If you haven't, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.